Hey guys, Billy Davison here with Davison Pressure Washing Painting, Hammond, Louisiana. Hope you all are having a great afternoon as we are. As you see, I'm here with Mr. Jacob, and so I'm going to let him introduce himself to you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what he has been going through as a brand new power washer in the business, and we're going to talk about the kind of equipment he got, some of the struggles he's been facing, and so on and so forth. So Jacob, you want to tell him a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Jacob with Apex Pressure Washing. I've been pressure washing on my own for about a year now under Billy's guidance. I've been working with him for a couple of years, and I'm 23 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. We took Jacob on in September of 2018. Little short story behind it. What was you doing before you started power washing with us?
Well, I was working at Waste Management as a technician, fixing garbage trucks, working long hours, and that was a good job. But when I first heard about what Billy was doing and got in contact with him and went on our first job, I was just blown away at, my first thought. I remember to this day, we were doing that movie theater in Houma.
That's right.
And when I picked up that gun and I saw how far that water could shoot, and I thought to myself, wow, these guys get to play with water guns and make just ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah, definitely.
I was an hourly worker. I'd make my overtime, and I'd think, oh wow, this is going to be a good check this month. However, it pales in comparison to the potential income that you can get.
Yeah, definitely. So what we did, Jacob kind of found us through a mutual friend on YouTube in 2018. It took him a few months to get in touch with me. Probably a little bit of my fault. I wasn't returning calls like I should back then. We was so busy. And what we had done, I knew Jacob was in a pretty rough situation with his job. I mean, it was kind of rough work and the hours were rough. And we brought him on just to start training him to start his own power washing business. And we've seen how good of a guy he was, moral character, excellent, with instructions and that sort of thing. So we went ahead and brought him on full time. Now, you started full time early 2019, is that correct?
Correct. I saved up enough to get my own trailer, and I, with your help, got my first machine. And that's kind of unique because my first machine happened to be a 8 gallon per minute GX 690 with the general pump, trailer mounted.
So this situation is a little unique, guys, and y'all may face this too. What happened? Jacob started working with us. Like I said, about September, October 2018, he went full-time like January 1st, 2019, basically, and started to learn what we were doing. He started to see the profitability in what we were doing, some of the prices we were charging, and I was very encouraging to him to go get his trailer, to get that big machine and start doing some power washing. And even though he's still working with us full-time, he is now branching off kind of in a different area, in a different county, if you will, and doing his own power washing. Now, you just started getting your roof pump together. Now, you've done the roof already, right?
Absolutely. I set up a electric soft wash roof pump with the chem hose, little 1/2-inch garden hose, and I actually got a custom little trigger gun made from the local pressure washing store.
Little soft wash gun.
And it accepts the J-rod, so I use the flat tip. It really helps with it saves bleach.
Yeah, it saves a lot of bleach,
and it lasts. Like the regular garden hose thing you would have on the end, it's a lot more durable than that. Eventually,
a lot more control too.
A lot more control. That's right. Eventually, it will need to be replaced. But another thing is I can use the lance, we call it. It's a 6-foot extension.
Like an extension
for that as well. Yeah, that's been going well for me, and under Billy's guidance, it saved me some time. Like he told me, it's going to be about like a 3 trips to the Home Depot store.
Yeah, it takes a while to get all that set up. Yeah. And the soft wash pump set up. Now, you've started your own YouTube channel, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below and pin a comment. We would like for some of you guys to go subscribe to his channel. Now, your channel is called what now?
It's Apex Pressure Washing.
Spell that. It's APEX?
APEX. Apex Pressure Washing.
So some of the work you see on his channels is going to probably be on his own job sites and maybe some on ours. Now, right now you're up to what, 22, 23 subscribers?
I have 23 subscribers.
I would love for y'all guys to go over there and subscribe to him. You know, he don't have a lot on there, but I'm encouraging him to keep putting it out. And what I think the beauty about this is, and I was telling Jacob before we done this, and I don't mean to be conceited here, but when you watch our channel, you don't see a lot of mistakes that we're making. You don't see a lot of struggles. And the reason being, we've done it for 26 years and have completed tens of thousands of jobs successfully. So at some point, we get very, very good at what we're doing and very rarely make a mistake. Now, Jacob, just being a beginner, is going to make some of those mistakes. He's probably not going to make as many as someone without that mentorship, you know, working with us full time, but he's going to make mistakes, and y'all can kind of follow along and relate to those mistakes he might be making and engage in, you know, the comments and other beginners that may be going to his channel. And I hear a lot of guys call us and say, hey, we all make it look so easy. But yet now we do, but it wasn't like that 15 years ago. Look, I can't tell you how many times I went had to sit in my truck and wipe away tears because I burnt some stuff. I messed up some stuff. I broke a window. I peeled some paint off. And those are growing pains. But sometimes you don't have to, you know, sometimes you take a little bit of shortcut. And that's why we're doing this. One of our main focuses to help the guys out there to take some shortcuts. Even with Jacob in his adventures out there, power washing his own, I tell him I'm always available there. If he runs into an issue, you know, you can always call and we can try to walk you through it. Now, so we looking forward to having some of our subscribers go over to Apex and watch some of his stuff, and then, you know, kind of compare, you know, with what you're doing and what he's doing. You can relate to some of those same growing pains. Also, Jacob, did you have, I know you struggled with your chemical ratios for a while there, right? Was that one of your bigger struggles?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the most important things. And I've gotten into roofs recently, and
Shingle roofs, yeah.
Billy shared with me, he's got a PDF, a picture, like I call it the cheat sheet.
Like a cheat sheet, yeah.
Yeah, now this thing, it's got all the ratios that I need, all the mixing information for both roof wash and downstreaming for the sides of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that is crucial. It's critical because, for one, it's going to save you bleach whenever you're mixing things the correct way. You use as much bleach as you need to get the clean done without making it too hot of a mix, because then you run into the potential of damaging the homeowner's property, and we want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Jacob's had this cheat sheet a little longer than you guys have had it. Obviously, I've made it public, and, you know, for purchase, obviously. This took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you know, a couple dozen years honing these skills in. And, you know, so Jacob got a little jump start on that. He, you know, full disclosure, he didn't pay anything for it. So he's been a good guy. So he deserved it. But yeah, that PDF format can also be found in our paid links and paid training videos. And I'll put a link in the description. That way you don't have to, I mean, you know, the information's on the website. It's no, you know, the cat's out the bag. You can go on Google and probably try to figure out, you know, you might not get the right ratio. You might have to tweak it. You might burn a bush or etch some paint. But so we want to stop all of that. We want to try to give you that shortcut, give you the right ratios to mix every time, perfect recipe, and it gets the job clean. You get the check and you're on your way to the house. It's a lot better than doing some things I did years ago, sitting in a truck, basically wiping tears off my face because, you know, you're spraying the siding of a house and it's not coming clean. You know, it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. There's nothing you could do. Did you have any other particular struggles, or is it just your chemicals? Are you having any trouble with anything else?
Well, one thing I recommend to beginner pressure washers is, you know, make sure that your equipment is on par. So let's just put a few priority things out there. I used to have on my trailer, I'd have two little hooks on the back gate that I would have to twist and coil all my hose up on.
Wrapping up the hose manually.
And I went and got myself a good quality hose reel. It's a couple $100, but it's some of the best money I've ever spent, because now I can just stretch my hose out and then hold it with my left hand and crank the wheel with my right hand, and it guides onto there and it'll all spool up. It saves like legitimately 15, 20 straight minutes on each job.
I think it's better for the hoses too, not to be all kinked up figure eights and all that. those hoses have somewhat of a memory to them. Now that hose reel, you got the same kind we use on our trailer.
The exact same one. The it's wide. It's got a
I think it holds about 450 feet of pressure hose. It's a nice one.
Yeah, about a 450 foot capacity at least. And another thing is to make sure all your equipment is ready for the job site, because we travel sometimes over an hour to
sometimes 3 hours.
And that's at nighttime too.
In the middle of the night.
So, there's no department, there's no hardware store open, there's no, auto parts stores open. You can't just go get something. You need to be prepared. So the biggest thing that Billy's preached to me is O-rings and more O-rings. So the ones for your gun itself and for the hoses. I believe that's 3/8. And, just make sure your equipment is prepped and ready, batteries charged, and, before you leave the driveway, make sure your machine starts up if you happen to have an electric start one like I do. And another thing is fuel. Let me tell you a short little story about this. So I was out cleaning a facility about an hour from the house, and it's the middle of the night. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear my machine start to bog down a little bit.
Oh, no.
And eventually it stopped.
That's a good feeling there.
And so I carried my wand back over near the machine, near the trailer, and I took the hose off, and then I pulled the choke out. I tried to start it. It would kind of start, and when I put the choke back in, it would die again. It turns out one of my lines had a little air leak in it, so I keep my tool bag in my truck at all times.
Gotta have those tools.
Gotta have a basic tool set, your channel locks, your pliers, vice grips, everything you need. And I actually fixed that hose. Another time I had my recirculation tube pop off the top of my unloader.
Off your bypass.
Off my my bypass line, and it was spraying water everywhere. Yep, I've just cut the little end off to where it was clean and flush, put it back over the shark bite fitting, and put the vice grips on it. So yeah, preparation is everything. And being a beginner, like, if you've never driven a truck and trailer before, you're going to have to learn how to do that.
Yeah,
some of you guys probably running around there with the back of your pickup truck set up, but just, check your mirrors, make sure, and look, we do this religiously. We always check our safety chains, our tongue pin on there, the safety pin, the breakaway cable. It all has to be hooked up right.
I don't even let them walk between the truck and the trailer over the tongue. They step over the tongue. I make them go all the way around. So many stuff there's been people killed like that, unfortunately, where someone walking back and forth, crossing over tongue. I know it's a shortcut, but your foot unplugs something or unhooks the pin, and then, it could be a disaster. Now, you're supposed to be checking that trailer before you leave, stop and get gas, Now, another thing about pulling a trailer, I even tell them, watch which roads you select to go down. Like if you need to go down a narrow road with no shoulder versus take the interstate, even if it's 5 minutes around, it's so much better than someone sideswiping your trailer and then you're down on the side of the road for several hours getting towed, you're having the police reports and all that. So those are things we preach. What would you say, Jacob? Now, like I said, before me doing this 26 years, when we go do a power washing job, it's like me tying my shoes. When you go out there, are you still getting those butterflies when you're by yourself?
Well, absolutely. Whenever you're by yourself, you have a whole nother mindset. Like you have to be solid. You're the one that everybody's relying on to make sure the job gets done correctly and, most importantly, completely. And part of that, again, is just preparation. You come in with the right tools. You come in with a plan. You're thinking about what you're going to be doing there before you're even there. And, I always like to, flush my tank out a little bit before I get started to make sure, I have
everything out.
Yeah, make sure it's all ready to go and purged and clean. And maintenance is especially another one. Keep up with your oil changes. Keep up with all that. And always bring a backup. If you can find room for it on your trailer, because one time I had this rickety old surface cleaner that my man here had given to me.
A throwaway.
Yeah, basically, and I had it refurbished, and
I remember that.
That thing owes me nothing. It more than paid for itself 10 times over.
I've never seen a surface cleaner weigh 212 pounds, but it did. That thing was like a block of iron.
It was a house, yeah.
But it was seriously, I think maybe about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah,
And it looked it too. It looked every day of it.
Yeah, I had a new spinner and tips and a bar and a trigger put in, but I recently upgraded to a $600 surface cleaner
That's a nice one, yeah.
from an 18 to a 24 inch. And when you're cleaning large areas of concrete, it really helps. And that's the kind where you can still move it side to side. It doesn't have
It's got the little casters on them.
the casters. Yeah, I like the pneumatic wheels. They're good for large parking lots, but when you have to maneuver around those casters, they really help.
So for a new guy out there, would you prefer the walk behind surface cleaner like our big 30 inch, or would you like the kind like the whisper washers with the skirting on it, or the casters? I guess it depends on if you got a 4 gallon per minute or an 8 gallon.
I personally run an 8, and if you're getting serious into it, you're probably going to be running an 8 as well. Now, and that's, for your intermediate people out there, not the beginner, the guy that's, he's got enough to afford one of those fancy machines. Now, my personal favorite, is the kind with the skirt and the little casters, because you can move it side to side, you can push it in a straight line, and when you're off the trigger, you can push it along on the casters instead of having to pack it and all that.
I like the handle where I can step inside. They tend to like the handle that's out in front of you, right?
Yeah, so I was actually in a pinch, and because that machine that little surface cleaner had failed me, and the only one I could get was that $600 24 inch.
Oh, you did good with that. I was actually going to buy one just like the one he had bought, just for kicks, but they didn't have any because of COVID stuff. But
yeah, it's got there's pros and cons. Like, I've got the straight handled one, and I've got some reach out in front of me now when I'm moving it back and forth.
Yeah, you can do that 6 to 8 feet back and forth, left to right. Easily.
You don't have to be walking the whole night. You can move to a spot, clean all you can, move again.
And then hose management is everything. I've been preaching to them from that to day one. Matter of fact, the first day that he worked with me and Chris, we in Hammond. If y'all want to Google it on Google Maps, we went down to Houma and did a big theater, massive job. So he cut his teeth in the fire. There was no hanky-panky around. We picked him up. It was well after dark. It was in wintertime. And we're getting close to winter. It's like late September. And we picked him up and rode 2 hours. We made thousands that night. I forget what it was. It was a major, major job. And I think that's what kind of... But just seeing that mildew melt off of the buildings, was just a fascinating for him. He kept all the way home, 2 hours home. He's like, I can't believe that mildew just melted off the building. But that's the first time you've seen 55 gallons of bleach, I bet. That's a lot of bleach.
I still remember the first time I pulled that trigger, and we had the stream tip on it, and I saw how far that water shot.
Yeah, we was doing 4 stories at night.
With the momentum of it, I couldn't believe that water could even do that from a wand like that. I'd never experienced that kind of horsepower from that V-twin engine on that thing. Like, man.
Before we wrap this up, Jacob, what would you tell the new guys out there? I know, it's sometimes it's hard for us veterans to feel those butterflies. Every now and then I'll feel them when I step onto a giant job that's overwhelming. But I understand there's guys out there that's getting the butterflies and the nervous jitters just washing a small house. What would you say to those guys as a new beginner? What could they do to kind of help, curtail some of that? Would you say preparation, equipment, learning,
absolutely,
that sort of thing?
Make sure that you obtain the necessary information. And with anything in life, if you're trying to figure out a skill or a trade, get yourself a mentor, get someone who knows what they're doing, who has that 20 plus years of experience or less experience, just depending on who you can get. And they've been there and done that. I listen to what this man says. I trust him to guide me, and he trusts me to follow him. And make sure you have all the information necessary for the job when you come into it. Like, I bring my cheat sheet. I've got a picture of it in my phone. I don't go on the job site without it. Like, I wouldn't go without my wand. That's how important this is.
That important to have that chemical mix ratio
Absolutely.
There with you. It's a lot of math that goes in. If you're not familiar, we try to teach it, and but we figured we'd just put it in a chart, and that would be right there for you to access it. It's like, just looking at it and knowing exactly what you need on the spot without, because sometimes you're on a roof and you're hot, you're thirsty, you got to use the bathroom, your feet are wet, and you're trying to mix up something, and your customer's barking at you about something, and and you start to kind of lose your grip on things. If you have something centered that you can go back to look at, especially in a pinch, a tight situation, it's there and it's something you can depend on. We put a lot of time and effort. Well, Jacob, we're going to let these guys go here because I know they're probably ready to move on to their next video. Maybe they want to go check out your channel. Again, you want to say it's Apex?
Yes, my channel is Apex Pressure Washing. That's APEX.
APEX, guys. And I would love for y'all to go over there and subscribe to him. Like you said, he's got about 23 now. And he was excited when he got 3 the other day. So let's see if we can get him 20 or 30 more real quick tonight. I know y'all could do it for us. And look, if y'all need our help, y'all know how to get in touch with me. Jacob, we appreciate it, sir. I know he's got a little bit of ride going back home tonight. And look, if y'all need us, Davidson Pressure Washing Painting, I'm Billy Davidson, and we'll talk to y'all soon.